Welcome back. The position of the lawmakers appears to not be in sync with that of some economists who have insisted that Nigeria needs to borrow now to get out of the present economic hardship. One of them is the MD CEO of Financial Derivatives Company Limited, Mr. Bismarck Rawani, who believes that there is no alternative to external borrowing. But he suggests the government must examine the conditions in order not to fall into a debt trap.
Yeah, you need to borrow because you have a liability, which is the borrowing. You have an asset. The asset must generate revenue. And that revenue generation must be in excess of the debt service, right? And don't forget, if you borrow today, you are borrowing today's dollars. You'll be paying back in 10 years or 5 years from now. You'll be paying back with cheaper dollars. So you have the benefit of the present value of the asset, while you'll be paying with future earnings, which has a lower value because inflation must have eroded it. The executive argument, as you can see here, is that Nigeria is in a recession, so you need to borrow. That is the standard operating model for getting out of a recession. Stimulus package, imperative for recovery. Without a stimulus package, you can never recover. Timing is everything. As you know, today, the Federal Reserve kept interest rates flat, but also indicated that by December, interest rates are going to go higher, and dollar interest rates are going to go higher. So the time to borrow is now. The amount to borrow should be tied to specific projects, and the international markets are flush with funds. By next year, inflation rates in the US would have gone up and interest rates are going to go higher, and therefore the cost of borrowing and the availability of funds will be much more difficult to source. Now, what next? Executive will provide further information. Borrowing must be project specific and not general borrowing. The internal rate of return on this borrowing must be such that it can amortize and pay its way, both necessarily in dollars or in naira.
Heading out to the community now, if nothing is done by the federal and state governments to strengthen security along the waters, Nigeria may be faced with scarcity of seafood. That's according to fishermen and traders at the Henshaw beach market in Calabar, Cross River State. The farmers have complained of attacks and harassment by pirates. Our report tonight takes us into the once busy beach market, which is presently in dire need of supplies and customers.
Etisola, now you're talking.
Crayfish is a major spice ingredient used to enhance food taste in most Nigerian kitchens. It is one of the food items currently being exported to countries in Europe, America and Asia from Nigeria. It is estimated that about 12,000 metric tons of crayfish is produced annually in the country. Like crayfish, dried fish is another major export commodity from Nigeria. According to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, Nigeria alone exports 5 tons of smoked fish per month. Other major exporting countries are Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal and Cameroon. In Nigeria, Cross River State is a home for seafood, and the Henshaw beach town is the major market known for the sale of crayfish, different kinds of fish, shrimps, snails, and other seafoods. The market on a normal day is a beehive of activity as traders travel from within and outside the state to buy the commodities here. But the story has changed. The once vibrant Henshaw Beach is now a shadow of itself. The market no longer witnesses its usual patronage. Traders are now afraid to travel on the waters because of insecurity.
Our boat that conveyed people from Calabar to Bakassi to buy crayfish and the rest of the seafood to Calabar had been kidnapped by the militants.
Been crying and crying to the government of this state and this nation to help us from the hands of these militants. So we are still appealing to them to come to our aid.
The activities of the Cameroonian gendarmes, so they don't allow our people to go deep inside the sea to fish crayfish now. Now that during this season, the price used to come down drastically.
The Navy seems not to be aware of the plight of the fish farmers.
We must really come up with facts before we can really determine whether what they say is true or not. But from what we do on a daily basis, we conduct a 24/7 patrol, and there's no way we can really dominate the waters.
The Cross River State government is also assuring the farmers and traders of supporting the Navy and Marine Police with necessary logistics to help step up security on the waters.
If they bring this information to us, we can put it together and send it to the Office of the National Security Advisor. But for us as a state, we've spoken to the Navy, we are assisting them, and also the Marine Police.
With the promise from security agencies to ensure safer waterways, the fishermen and traders at the beach market look forward to a prompt intervention in order to be free again to go about their daily means of livelihood without the fear of being attacked.
Etisola, now you're talking.
Let's get details now of the day's latest business headlines with Anne Mawudu.
You first. First Bank.
Hello and welcome to Business News. The central bank says it can only continue to engage in managed floating of the exchange rates in Nigeria because forex demand still outweighs supply. The special advisor to the central bank governor on financial markets, Mr. Emmanuel Okeje, said this at a foreign exchange policy dialogue in Lagos. He says government has to ensure its borrowings are geared towards export objectives. Nigeria's Purchasing Managers Index data for the month of October, released by the CBN, shows PMI contraction, but at a slower pace in October. The survey of manufacturing and non-manufacturing PMIs picked up to 44.1 and 43.4, but yet below the 50.0 reading, indicating that economic and business activities are yet to pick up at a considerable pace. The manufacturing PMI shows a slower contraction in industrial activities and faster expansion in supplier delivery time, and then slower declines in production level, new orders, and raw materials inventories. The non-manufacturing PMI also declined at a slower rate. The Central Bank of Nigeria says this reflects weak confidence among firms about the economy. Negative sentiment returned to the local stock market at the close of trading today, owing to renewed sell-off from the banking, consumer goods and the oil and gas sector. Bisi Adebayo has the summary of today's transactions.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Reports. Transactions at the Nigerian Stock Exchange ended in negative territory at the close of Wednesday's session, reversing Tuesday's gains by 11 basis points on the back of price declines from bellwether stocks and profit taken by short-term investors. Although market breadth was positive with 18 gainers against 15 losers, small-cap stocks' dominance failed to lift the market. The top three decliners were Ecobank Transnational Incorporated, Portland Paint and Fitton Healthcare, while the major gainers were Champion Breweries Transcorp and Airline Services. A total of 202.3 million shares worth 1.26 billion naira were recorded in 3,337 deals. The main contributors to the overall turnover were FCMB, Transcorp and GT Bank. That ends the stock market reports. I am Bisi Adebayo.
Thanks a lot, BC. Major world markets also took a bashing today, despite U.S. Federal Reserve's decision to keep interest rates unchanged. Investors are very concerned about new developments surrounding preparation for the U.S. presidential election. Let's check out the numbers. Thanks a lot for watching Business News Tonight. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Back to you, Marachi.
You first. First Bank.
Telecommunications firm Globacom has launched a new product, Glo Borrow Me Data, which allows customers to load data during emergencies and pay later. The company announced this at a press conference in Lagos, where it also renewed 3 existing packages.
Last month, Globacom launched the first nationwide 4G LTE mobile network in Nigeria. Today, the company's aim to make sure the communication between its customers and their loved ones, as well as business partners, is unbroken, has given birth to more products.
The flagship of the products we are unveiling today is Glo Borrow Me Data. As the name suggests, the product allows subscribers to borrow data credit of up to 3.2 gigabytes, 2 11 kobo per second to all, 3 new IDD packs, and 4 double free tomorrow.
All packages except for the Glo Borrow Me Data probably sound familiar. What's new is the enhanced nature of the offerings over a wider coverage.
You had previously in the market 11 kobo per second to all networks. Now we are giving you opportunity to also call 30 top international destinations. You have a lot of contacts you need to call outside the country. You can just dial *777#, then you buy whatever data IDD pack that suits your pocket.
The Double Free Tomorrow pack gives back 200% of what was used the previous day on internet services, calls and messages for free. The company's brand ambassadors are impressed that in spite of the rise in cost of living, customers are set to enjoy more benefits for less.
Aside from the fact that we are ambassadors of Glo, we also see these products and we use them for real, and we can tell you for free that there's no telco in Africa that can produce or that is as consumer friendly like Glo.
Apart from giving old customers what they call a November to remember, the communications giant assures the public of its readiness to take on and satisfy as many new entrants as may wish to come onto the Glo network.
Next on the news at 10, Super Eagles coach Jeanot Roy calls up Daniel Akpeyi to replace injured Carl Ikeme ahead of next